This is Kyle Madson with your top stories on Sports 1140. The A's had a chance to keep pace in the race for the first AL wildcard spot and led 8-5 going into the 8th, and then blew it, eventually losing 10-8 to the Mariners in 10 innings. The loss also clinched the AL West for the Astros. The Yankees also beat the Rays 9-2 to push their lead for the first wildcard to 2.5 games. The A's are in action against Seattle again tonight. Pre-game 6:45, first pitch 7:10 right here on Sports 1140. And former Raiders linebacker Neron Ball is in a medically induced coma after a brain aneurysm ruptured last weekend. Ball is 26. He was diagnosed with a rare brain condition during his sophomore season at the University of Florida. He was a fifth-round draft pick of the Raiders in 2015, but a knee injury during that rookie season derailed his career. It's 8:01, and it's time to visit StocktonHonda.com anytime, anywhere.
Rise and shine, sleepyhead.
I'm not letting you go to work today.
Wait, what?
Everybody, listen up.
Welcome to The Drive.
Morning, morning, morning.
You're gonna talk.
Get on the phone at 339-1140.
Pretty awesome, huh?
Jump in on our text line at 441140.
Everyone is talking about it. You must know that.
The Drive starts now.
Welcome back to The Drive. Final hour. Carmichael, Dave, Kyle Madson. Eunice doing a phenomenal job as always on our video cast available at khdk.com. Top right of your corner of the screen with your desktop, phone, tablet, middle of the screen. Our thanks to Jiffy Lube and the Sac Republic for bringing that to you.
Hey, speaking of Sac Republic, third caller right now. Get a pair of tickets to see the Sacramento Republic FC take on Portland this Saturday and Swope Park Rangers next Wednesday. So 2 pairs of tickets for you if you're the third caller right now. That's next Wednesday at Pop Murphy's Park. Get your tickets and more info at sacrepublicfc.com.
That Portland game this
800-920-1140.
Biggest game of the year this weekend against Portland. That's a huge, huge game trying to get a playoff spot at home. Playoff match at home is huge. A lot of reaction. Kings fans weighing in on Willie Cauley-Stein. Now, I don't want to come off like I'm trashing Willie. In fact, I'm trying to go out of my way to do the opposite. I wanted them to draft Willie Cauley-Stein out of Kentucky. I loved the pick. It was him or Justice Winslow. Those are the two guys I personally wanted, just going back in hindsight. That was Vlade's first draft pick. And I'll reiterate his talent level. And also reiterate him as a human being, from what I understand, is fantastic. But here's an example from the text line, from the 916. Well, if he plays consistently this year, does it show what you're saying? If we sign him for a 3-year deal, in the first 2 years he just chooses which games he shows up for and really tries, then year 3 he puts up huge numbers. No thanks, that's detrimental to the team. That's dead weight. And he's taking the space of someone who wants to win and be a part of something bigger than themselves, treating every year like it's a contract year. And whether Willie doesn't realize it or whether Willie just does not care, which both are very possible, he's putting himself in a no-win situation. If he sucks this year, or not sucks, but if he's just average, well, he's not getting paid, not how he wants. And if he has a tremendous year, the whole argument is going to be, do you commit to this guy when he basically, was average, and the knock on him was always he's not realizing his potential, and then a contract year comes and it's, I want to get paid, I want to get paid, I want to get paid. Well, there's nothing wrong with that, but keep it to yourself. So that we're not sitting here going, dude, are you doing this just because it's a contract year? How can we trust you? Now, I'll say this. If Willie has a great year this year, and let's say it's a year that would command an $18, $20 million contract. Let's just say. Dude, if you want to keep signing 1-year deals, I'm all in. I'm all in on that. If you want to sign 1-year, $20 million deals, again, if you step up to that level, I'm all in. The question's going to be the long-term commitment. That's going to be the question. We've got a long-term commitment. We don't have Scott yet. I'm sorry. I thought I saw you getting Scott. I almost did the whole intro. Scott Bair will join us in just a second. We'll talk about your Oakland Raiders. Yeah, it just, and when you put that type of comment up against Justin Jackson, I don't want to vilify Willie here. I mean, it's not like he came out and said, I don't care about this team or Sacramento, nothing like that. And you can make the argument, as a couple of you have on the text line, say, we want honesty out of our athletes. Well, we're getting honesty. What's the problem? Well, that's the type of honesty that's like the, yes, you do kind of look fat in that dress honesty. Yeah, it's honest. But just probably not a good idea. Joining us right now from NBC Sports California, the one, the only, our Raiders insider, Scott Bair. Hello, Scott.
That was such an intro. Not only the NBC, but the you look fat in that dress, honesty. I'm probably going to give your listeners some of that, too.
Yeah, it's one of those things where we want honesty in sports, and Scott, you know this as an actual, for real journalist, that there's those cookie-cutter answers that can be frustrating, and then a player comes out and says something super honest, and gets jumped on. There's a gray area in there where you want them to be honest. You don't want them to be cookie cutter, but sometimes they need to shut their mouth a little bit.
Yeah, and I think we have a little John Gruden example of that. Is that, tell me one thing that he said about Khalil Mack that's wrong, right? I mean, he brought up Mack unprompted on Monday. Basically saying, well, it's hard to, have short-term gains when you trade your best player and get nothing in return for 2018. He's exactly right. He's being honest and forthright and answering a question the way that a journalist always hopes a primary source would do so, and then he's going to get slayed for it because he's admitting he traded his best player and that there are side effects of that. Of course there are side effects. We all know there are side effects. We just normally don't get a head coach who comes out and says exactly what they are. So, yeah, that's one of those things where I think fans want to move on from the Khalil Mack trade, but John Gruden's telling it like it is, man, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I kind of like it. I also think that he's understanding, and I think he's being forthright with what that trade's implications are for 2018 and what he hopes to get from his long-term vision, and he's getting killed for it. And I think there's nothing wrong with being honest with the fact that, yeah, I made that deal. Yeah, I stand by it. And, yeah, there's parts of it that are going to suck in 2018.
That's actually a perfect transition into the first question I wanted to ask you, Scott. What are your thoughts, or what's your view on John Gruden hiring kind of a second scouting department to run parallel to Reggie McKenzie in the Raiders scouting department?
Yeah, that actually got brought up by Mike Silver after the first day of the draft. He said, hey, there are 2 draft boards. And I went, fascinating, because John Gruden came in January, and you would think that at that point, when you're a couple months from the scouting combine and the draft and so on, that you would be uber reliant on the personnel staff that's already in place. As a matter of fact, they did come up with their own ranking system and their own big board and all those types of things. It seems counterproductive to me to run it that way, and it does implicate to me, hey, man, there's going to be more changes in the personnel department. But the best time to make a change at GM or at the director of player personnel or what have you is right after the draft, because the farther they get into this thing, the more college kids they've scouted with their philosophy and all those types of things. And I think the one thing that Reggie McKenzie does, well, not the one thing, he does several things well, but long-term college scouting and salary cap issues are things that Reggie does well, things that John doesn't love to do. But the fact that they have separate job boards is weird. It shows that there is a level of disconnect because John's going to be the one making the calls on draft day and then with personnel in general. So it does make you wonder, how long is Reggie going to be here? At the same time, if Reggie is accepting of a new role with the same title, then maybe this thing could work out. I think that is to be determined. But to answer your question directly, it is pretty weird.
Does McKenzie still have any pull left in that building?
I wouldn't say that he Not at the same level. I talked to Mark Davis for a while back in March at the NFL owners meetings, and he was very plain with me in saying, hey, I brought John Gruden in here to form the team that he wants to form. And Reggie McKenzie's going to have a new and different role because the power structure has obviously changed. So when it comes down to the first-round draft pick or the free agent walking through the door, Reggie has input and John listens. But John ultimately makes the call, and that's the case in every situation.
Scott Bair joining us, NBC Sports California. Scott, we brought this up last week. I'll bring it up again. And Raider fans hate this. I'm trying to make a narrative as to why they shouldn't feel too bad about being 0-3. Looked at the numbers in the first half versus the second half of games this year. As you know, there's a massive disparity. They've also played 3 teams that have a combined record of 8-1, and we talked about it. They had the elevation in Denver in the second game. As you said last week, you've got the humidity and the black shirts in Miami in the third game. I'm not saying it's the only reason, but if we're trying to put reasons out there why they collapse in the second half, are we at a point where part of it could very well be they're the oldest team in the NFL and they had difficulty with the elements in games 2 and 3?
I think when you look at games 2 and 3, games that I stand by that they should be 2-1 right now, right? If they could finish. I think that it's a combination of those things that you said, age, elements, and the fact that they are razor thin at so many positions, especially along the defensive front. And what's the best way to close out games, right? You either run it down their throat for as long as humanly possible on offense, or on defense, you get after the frickin' quarterback, man. And they have not been able to do that with any consistency. I know that brings up 52 again, and fans are sick of me doing that, but whatever, man. It plays a part in all these different things. But the bottom line is that because their pass rush can't get after it, age, elements, and depth, those are the big problems with this defense. Those are the big problems with this team. And it goes even beyond just first half versus second. The AP came up with this incredible stat. I don't know if you saw it on Twitter after the Dolphins game. They have not trailed for a single snap in any of the first 3 quarters and are 0-3. They have lost the fourth quarter 37-3 over their first 3 games.
Scott, I called the guy out on it. I didn't call him out, but I said, hold on a second. Wait a minute, what are you talking about? The Rams were leading in the third quarter. He said, no. They scored on the last play of the third quarter. No snaps in the first 3. It's a hell of a stat, Scott.
Yeah, and I think it really goes to show the fact that, again, 0-3 and 2-1 for any team, but for these Raiders is not a big jump. You look at Patrick Mahomes, if I can get that name out, just in terms of yardage, not in terms of touchdowns. We all know he's got 13 touchdowns and no picks, right? But in terms of pure yardage, he's got 8-something, right? Derek Carr has almost 1,000 yards through 3 games. He's moving the football. The Raiders are moving the football. He's thrown 2 interceptions in the end zone. Keith Smith was half a yard away from pay dirt, and the offensive line got 0 push. Why they didn't give it to Marshawn there, I don't understand. But they have been awfully close to scoring points and can't do it. So we're talking about finishing games, right? That's our overarching theme about why the Raiders stink right now, right? There's another internal lack of finishing issue, and that's lack of finishing drives that is absolutely killing them on offense. They were 2 for 5 in the red zone against the Dolphins. They haven't been good in general there, and that's another can't finish situation. And I've brought up 2016 and some stories that I've written, fully understanding that 2016 might as well be a different lifetime. That you can't equate just because a couple of those guys were there means that they're going to find that same type of magic. But you look, the reason why they won so many games in 2016 because the quarterback was just unflappable, unstoppable, and awesome in the fourth quarter. And now that offense is, I don't know, relearning how to win, or just really having to find its sea legs down the stretch, I think is the more appropriate thing. And they enter into a game against Cleveland where, they got, Baker Mayfield is the he's the perfect, foil for the Raiders defense, right?
Yeah.
Because he moves around, and when they get tired and he's running all over the place and making throws on one foot across his body, 60 yards downfield, how are they going to be able to cover that? Hugh Jackson is going to come in here with a whole new playbook and some mad scientist stuff, and you just think if they lose that game, then you start worrying about confidence, right? Because for all the fact that they've been close, right? But it can get in your head a little bit if it keeps on happening, and that's what they absolutely have to avoid, or this little snowball rolling down the hill can turn into an avalanche.
Here was Scott Bair, Raiders insider for NBC Sports California. Scott, one of the things that John Gruden said about Week 1 was that Derek Carr missed some throws down the field, or didn't see some throws down the field, and then after this game in Miami, he said that Carr was too aggressive. Is that a mixed message, or is he talking about kind of two different things there?
I think that he is being situation specific, and again, this is one of those rare instances where normally from head coaches you get cliches and nothingness, right. and I openly welcome the way that John talks to the press, and even if he says one thing and he changes his mind and says something different a week later, I'm fine with it. To your greater point about Derek Carr, though, Derek is walking a fine line, because he told me this verbatim, is that he is trying to please his head coach, because he's learning this system. He wants to run it exactly as John Gruden wants it run, and at times he's going against his better nature, and he gets criticized for checking down. And then there are times when he throws that ball to Martavis on first down instead of throwing it away, and he gets criticized for being too aggressive. Life is rough when you're making 9 figures and you're the franchise quarterback. But he's trying to find that line, and he's not there yet in this new system, nor maybe should he be expected to be. But ultimately, I think that John Gruden's right in both instances. I think Derek would he defended his decision making on a couple different instances there that you're referring to. I think early on that they have preached to him, hey man, live to fight another day, and on first down, throwing to the matchup there giving your guy a chance, maybe, as opposed to giving yourself another crack in the fourth quarter. But I'm not him. So ultimately, I think it's all about Derek trying to please his coach, trying to work well within the system, and he's going through some growing pains right now.
Scott Bair, NBC Sports California, joining us on KHTK Talking Raiders. He joins us each and every Wednesday at 8:05. Scott, I agree with you about Gruden, and as somebody who covers the sport, he's a dream, because he's a coach with a broadcaster's mind, and that's something I wonder about him. We were talking about this on Tuesday. That comment on Derek Carr, I just wonder if it's the right thing to do when you've got Carr with perceived confidence issues with going downfield, and then 2 weeks ago, what did he miss? 2-3 passes. He was very good. And then last week, he's hitting everybody. Jordy Nelson goes off. I just wonder from a team standpoint, not a media standpoint, but a team standpoint, if whether he's playing mind games in the press or not, if he's still caught between broadcast booth and head coach whistle.
That's a really good question, actually, and that's a really good thought, because maybe what's good for the three of us may not necessarily be good for the player's message, because these guys can say all they want that they don't read it, but they read every single thing, or they at least have a family member, or a brother, sister, wife, or girlfriend who absolutely does, and then reports back. So you're right. If you're trying to get a quarterback to assimilate into your system, then you want those types of things. And you are right. At times when coaches are talking to the press, they're really not talking to me or you. They're talking to their player. They're trying to convey a message. And I think you're right. Maybe that could be cleaned up a little bit, maybe at our expense. But yeah, just to try to get his quarterback going the right way. But again, his quarterback is completing almost 75% of his passes for almost 1,000 yards through 3 games, and I think that's why John always comes back to it, and maybe it's not headline worthy, but he keeps saying that he has ultimate confidence in his quarterback. He keeps saying they're just a couple plays away from being awesome. And I think those things are kind of true. The one thing about Derek Carr that I will say here that he has always had a problem with, and he admitted to me in an unrelated topic that he can be, as a personality type, he can be a people pleaser, right? That is his natural instinct. So I think at times he's got the game plan. He's being told that in this game, Jared Cook is the guy, or Amari, or Jordy Nelson, and maybe he adheres to it a little too much, right? As opposed to being more of a freelancer. Now, again, these are all fine lines, and if something goes right, if he throws that touchdown to Martavis in the fourth quarter, he does everything right. And then he misthrows that one, or he should have thrown it away or whatever, and now he's ultimately wrong. So it is a tough position for him to be in. He is trying to please a bunch of different masters, fans who want to win right now, his coach that's teaching him a new system, and wide receivers that want the gosh darn ball, please. So he is in a tough spot. He needs to do a little bit better, but he is on the right track, and ultimately I still believe what I told you guys before the season started. He will thrive in this system once he learns his place and his role within it.
Let's just finish up with some X's and O's. We got a hip injury to Mike Nugent, who was originally there, and I'm referring to your article on NBCSports.com that Eddie Pinheiro was going to be mentored by Nugent. Pinheiro had the groin injury at the end of training camp. Looks like they worked out some kickers, including a familiar name, Giorgio Tavecchio, but looks like Matt McCrane's the guy they're going with.
Yeah, which is going to be a rookie long snapper, a rookie punter, and a rookie kicker.
Oof.
It's not exactly how they had it planned out, because pressure situations, you want experience there. I was never a big Mike Nugent guy. I didn't think he had any power, but he's really kind of shown that he does. But this, again, is going to show that this Raiders team, I think a lot of fans thought they were a really good game plan and coach away from being good, and the way that John has kind of run the offseason, the way that things have worked out, that they are incredibly thin, and all these little things, it's kind of a death by 1,000 paper cuts at this point. You lose Justin Ellis, and you think that's not a giant deal, but when you lose Justin Ellis and Bruce Irvin's playing 60% of the snaps, and you start getting other guys hurt, P.J. Hall is hurt, and you think that's not a big deal, but when combined with other things, becomes a giant deal. And it goes to show that, again, John Gruden wasn't exactly wrong when he said that the last three draft classes being ineffective really kills your depth, and we are feeling it now in terms of what the Raiders are able to do, special teams, and on down the line.
That is Scott Bair, NBC Sports California, joins us each and every single week. Scott, phenomenal job. Thank you so much. Check out his work both on Twitter and online, and we'll talk to you next Wednesday.
Yep, thanks, guys.
All right, buddy. Take care. That's Scott Bair. I would have played the NBC jingle, but I had my dumb computer muted and just figured Kyle had me turned down. There you go. Scott Bair, NBC Sports California. 441140 on the text line. Sorry we didn't get to all your questions. 339-1140 on the phone lines as well, which we will open up in the next segment. We'll get back to training camp around the league. If you have any additional thoughts on Willie Cauley-Stein, on Justin Jackson, or just things in general, and we'll maybe hear a little bit from Dave Yeager, we'll get to that next right here on Sports 1140 KHTK.
Leaving your car away from your radio? Don't worry, because the KHTK app will allow you to catch all the shows you love. Never miss The Drive or Jim Rome. Catch every minute of The Lowdown and Grant and Doug. Just download the app now and get all your favorite shows on your digital device of choice. The all-new Sports 1140 app. Get it today.
Hey, it's Truck Michael Dave here, talking to you about my Hoblet Ram truck, 2019 Laramie 1500 Hemi. Bam! I'm the king of the road. The King of the Road. I was driving in today, as a matter of fact, and even though I'm in this big monster truck, I still notice everything around me because the sight lines are so fantastic. Anybody else notice the 80 signs that are now painted on the road itself? That's an LA thing. If that's been around for a long time, let me know. But I swear I just started seeing those things. I think the only other places I've seen that happen, East Coast and LA, but I notice it all when I'm in my Hoblet Ram. You can join me during Ram Power Days up at Hoblet Ram. $12,000 off MSRP on select 2019 Ram 1500s, up to $18,000 off MSRP on select 2018 Ram 1500 trucks, over 1,100 in stock. JD Power's Customer First Award for Excellence. Bam! 7 minutes from the airport, right there in Woodland. Go online at hobletdodge.com. Get an extra $1,000 off your purchase on top of all those deals I gave you simply by telling them your good buddy, Carmichael Dave, sent you.
Fast is the nation's largest gig speed network. Beyond Fast is the complete reliability of 4G LTE backup. That means whether you're downloading big files, swiping credit cards, or emailing your sales team or customers, your business can go on even if the power goes out. When you're a business owner, you need speed and reliability. For a limited time, make the switch to Comcast Business and get an amazing deal on fast, reliable internet. Just one more way you can take your business beyond. Get started with 75 megabit internet for $49.95 per month when you add 2 voice mobility lines. Call 1-800-501-6000 today. Comcast Business. Beyond fast.
Offer ends 10/5/18. Restrictions apply. New business customers only. 2-year agreement required. Early termination fee applies. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra subject to change. Connection Pro backup limited to up to 6 hours.
This is Boomer Esiason with the CBS Sports Minute. France is a country of nearly 67 million people. Only 425,000 of them are registered golfers. So how in the world did the prestigious Ryder Cup wind up in Paris? Since 1927, the Ryder Cup has only been held in mainland Europe once, when Spain hosted back in 1997. However, the European Tour wants Paris and Rome in 2022 to give the sport a developmental jolt. According to the Wall Street Journal, France outbid Germany, the Netherlands, Portugal, and Spain in an auction conducted by the European Tour. By contrast, when the event is held here in the United States, the PGA of America pays courses to host the event. France's winning Ryder Cup bid is a $50 million package and includes rights fees, course upgrades, and grassroots promotions. The costs were shared by the government, sponsors, and recreational players. All that for a 3-day event. Sacre bleu! I'm Boomer Esiason.
When you have a lot on your to-do list, the last thing you need to worry about is a car repair. Luckily, when you visit any of 16,000 Napa Auto Care centers, you get highly trained experts and a 24-month, 24,000-mile nationwide warranty, which means your car gets fixed right the first time, so you can spend less time worrying about the things you don't want to, like repairing your vehicle, and more time worrying about the things you do. Just visit NapaAutoCare.com to find the location nearest you.
I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's premier home purchase lender. We've created a new way to protect you from unpredictable interest rates. Our exclusive Rate Shield approval. First, we lock your interest rate for up to 90 days. Then, if rates go up, your rate stays locked. But if rates go down, your rate drops. Either way, you win. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year fixed-rate loans. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030. Additional conditions or exclusions may apply.
Roseville Lexus. It's Grant Napier for Lexus of Roseville. Simply the best place to buy or lease your new Lexus, with selection second to none in the Roseville Auto Mall. Hear Roseville, think Lexus. Lexus Roseville.
Sports 1140 KHTK's coverage of high school football is presented by Wingstop. Listen every Friday night to the Wingstop High School Football Wrap-Up Show and get all the coverage on KHTK.com.
Now your sports update. Sports update. Powered by Mercury Insurance.
Hey, it's Kyle Madson with your top stories on Sports 1140. The A's lost to the Mariners last night 10-8 in 10 innings. That clinched the AL West for the Astros, who won earlier in the evening, and then the Yankees beat the Rays 9-2 to push their lead in the first wild card to 2.5 games. The A's are in action against Seattle again tonight. Pregame 6:45, first pitch 7:10, right here on Sports 1140. And former Raiders linebacker Neron Ball is in a medically induced coma after a brain aneurysm ruptured last weekend. Ball is just 26 years old and was diagnosed with a rare brain condition during his sophomore year at the University of Florida. He was a 5th-round pick of the Raiders in 2015, and a knee injury during his rookie year derailed his career. It's 8:30 and time to visit StocktonHonda.com anytime, anywhere.
Here we go. The drive continues now.
Hey, just a quick note for you, Kyle. According to Pro Football Focus, they're smart. When looking at grades for safeties this year, Earl Thomas, 3 other dudes.
Derwin James?
Derwin James.
Florida State's Derwin James?
Florida State's Derwin James, who some say...
Who might win Defensive Rookie of the Year?
Some say is currently the leader for Defensive Rookie of the Year. Now, I'm sick about this, and I'll tell you why, Kyle. You'd think with watching Florida State football as much as I do, I would have thought he'd have been a good fit for the 49ers. I would have thought that. And I can't believe that I just completely missed the boat on that and didn't even consider the idea of Derwin James.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't even consider
I think I literally pounded the table for him on this show.
Just never considered it.
What's not, it's not funny like haha. It's a little funny. I got into an argument with this guy on Twitter around draft time because I was like, the Niners need to draft Derwin James. And he was like, why would they do that? They have Kwaski Tart and Adrian Colbert. And then they signed Tart to an extension. And the guy like threw that in my face, was like, ha-ha.
Aha.
He's like, the only way you win now is if Derwin James wins Rookie of the Year and Tart gets hurt. Well, if the season ended today, that's what we'd be looking at.
God, can you imagine that defense being anchored for years with Buckner, Foster, and Derwin James?
And then they would have had the draft capital to trade up and take Harold Landry, an outside pass rusher, who would be a perfect fit in the Niners defense, who's been dominant for Tennessee.
I'm very sad. I'm very sad about now. Listen, Mike McGlinchey's,
really good player.
Yes,
It looks like he's going to be their right tackle. For
yes, but he's no Derwin James. You want to hear a quick compilation of Kawhi Leonard's laughs through the years?
Yes, please.
Some of these are kind of hard to hear. Let's see if we can do this here.
If he wants me to say that, it's kind of personal. It's personal.
Somebody texted us yesterday when we were doing the Kawhi Leonard thing, and he said that Kawhi Bot simply had not downloaded the Laugh program yet.
Yeah.
Made
Kawhi OS 8.
So much sense. In case you missed it, here's what his laugh was. Here's what the laugh was in reverse. Here's what it was if he was on helium. And here's what it was.
You need to have your computer taken away from you.
All right, here's more of Kawhi Leonard through the years.
No, I didn't receive no gear. Just by the time I walked.
I have a hat. He gave me one of the hats they had there, so I'll give you the hat back if you want it.
Yeah, just when I walk down the steps.
Okay, I don't even know what that was on there. I didn't hear
that was
laugh.
Funny.
But I got a hat.
I got a hat.
I got a hat.
Mom was trying to talk to Steven.
Here he is on the NBA Finals set.
We'll be asking to talk to you.
Yeah, I know that.
He's like, oh, man.
Couldn't really hear that. All right.
Just
both wins. Both wins.
I mean, it depends who I'm guarding.
That was normal.
Yeah.
Because this is a back-to-back honor. Please.
That was a fake for TV laugh. You give me that laugh a lot.
I do.
I'll play it for you.
You play it for me. Now, will you be playing
Yeah,
it and you play it for me? Okay, good.
I guess I'll laugh and smile all day. Moment.
He doesn't know how.
That's just a chill dude,
right?
Who doesn't find a lot of things outwardly funny.
No.
I'm sure he finds a lot of things very entertaining.
But he's not a laughy guy, and that's okay.
I think I have all of his laughter because I laugh at everything.
Right.
Yeah, I will. For me to tell you about myself, I just can't give you a whole spiel.
I don't even know where you're sitting at.
I don't even know where you're sitting at.
Poor guy.
Right. It's so terrible what we're doing.
Kawhi, show some personality.
That's why he doesn't talk.
Look at this idiot.
That's why he doesn't talk.
Hey, did you see the video of them putting I think Dave Dufour tweeted it out. You put the Kawhi laugh over the end of the Thriller video.
Oh, no. Did they?
Yeah.
No, but that makes sense because I saw people hearkening back to that, to the Vincent Price laugh. Here's LeBron James comparing himself to the Godfather.
You know, that's how you figure it out. And that's the good thing about, being a leader of a franchise or a leader of a team or being a leader, period. You figure it out throughout the course of time. And it's not like instant oatmeal where you put it in the microwave a minute and a half, boom, you take it out, it's good. No, it's more like The Godfather. You watch The Godfather and you see how Don Corleone throughout this whole entire life was just setting things up throughout his whole life to know that at the end of the day, Michael was going to take over the family, and nothing was going to ever stop. So it's a process. You understand that how can you get the most out of the young guys? How can you get the most out of the older guys and mesh everything together? We have one common goal. This is the Lakers, the 16 banners up there. They only know winning.
Shut up. I couldn't take it. By the way, Kyle,
I totally got
your thoughts on his Godfather comparison.
Just spot on. Everybody knew that Michael was going to take over the family because that guy gave him an offer he couldn't refuse.
Couldn't refuse it.
But they came to him on the day of his daughter's wedding.
Yeah.
Which was just crazy.
You totally get that. Kyle has not seen The Godfather.
Hey, LeBron's like the Godfather because this is his third team and is the worst one. Because Godfather 3 is not that. Because people say, because I've not seen it, Godfather 3 isn't that good. And LeBron, he's now been on the Cavs and the Heat, and now he's on the Lakers. So it's his third team. And it's like people are like, the Godfather 3 didn't need to happen, and LeBron didn't need to be on the Lakers.
If LeBron was this segment, his name would be LeBron Lames.
Oh, hey, by the way.
Yeah.
Earlier, we were talking about a serious thing, so I didn't bring it up, but I thought about this. If he was just really, going through something at the moment, he'd be Buddy Hield.
Okay, so here's the thing. Kyle Madson, Jason Ross, and I have had this ongoing bit. If you ever wonder, which I hope you don't, what sports talk donkeys do when they're not on the radio.
Media Day.
Yeah, at Media Day in his office. We've had this going now for 2+ days, is coming up with things like, for example, if
by the way, unless you have one you think is very original, you don't need to text it in.
Thank you, because we've covered them all
of them.
Like so the idea is Buddy Hield.
Right.
So for example, if he were in a bathtub and he was super duper soapy, he'd be Sudsy Hield. Get it?
Right.
If he were a farm animal and he made a loud noise, he'd be Buddy Squealed.
If he was a potato, he'd be Spuddy Hield.
If he was old, he'd be Fuddy Duddy Hield.
Right. So like those.
We take a name.
Hey, if you want to use the word congealed, Jason Ross already.
Right. We've used everyone, and by the way, this is nothing with Buddy Hield. So please, I don't want to see.
We do this with names all the time.
You take a name.
He was sitting there talking to Grant while Dave and I were standing there chatting, and I just said, I think the first one I said was like, "Hey, if he was covered in soap, he'd be Suddy Hield."
Suddy Hield, and then I said something like, "Well, if he was at Thunder Valley and you got a blackjack hand from him, he would be Buddy Dealed."
Right, and then it just kind of spiraled.
Into
this 3-day-long thing now that I brought up.
If he was in Game of Thrones and you gave him a sort of power, he would be Buddy Wield. If he was an orange and you wanted to eat him, you'd need him to be
Buddy Peeled, right?
What was one Jason said yesterday? If he was one of a trio of phenomenal A's pitchers back in the he'd be Huddy Hield.
He'd be Mulder, Zito, and Huddy Hield. So dumb.
It's like the dumbest thing we do, and now we
do this. We probably do this, you and I, either on the internet or in person. Probably do this once every 3 or 4 months.
Yep.
Where we just, like, a person's name will come up.
And it goes and goes. And we never know how it starts. And we really never know how it ends. I think that's what we cover everything.
Yeah, right.
Like, people are texting stuff in right now we've already covered. But go ahead. If he was a child's toy, he would be silly Buddy Hield.
Yeah.
He let me in front of him in traffic the other day. He was Buddy Hield.
Yeah, I already had that one.
Yeah, we've
covered them.
We've even used compound words and really stretched it so far.
Yes.
Have you heard or talked about it all? We got to go. So let me wrap it up this way. Have you been thinking at all in the offseason about Enes Kanter's nipples?
I'm sorry, who's?
Enes Kanter's nipples.
Enes Kanter's. I can't say I have.
Well,
but I can't confirm that I have not.
Okay, well, let's just see here.
I've been to playoffs before. That should be everybody's goal. It's the playoffs. When I think about playoffs, my nipples get hurt. I'm sorry. That's the thing, man. It's the playoffs. That's what we play for.
He wasn't sorry.
When I think about going to break.
If he was playing baseball on a rainy day, he'd be Muddy Field. See?
We've done that one already.
Yeah.
We've literally done Muddy Field.
Not blaming the listeners.
Yeah.
They're texting in their ideas.
Yeah. It's great. We'll start one of these on air one day, not give any of our own, and only read the text.
And only read the text ones. Yeah. Or just help them along. I don't like the idea of not giving our own.
You're right. We wouldn't stick to that anyways.
By the way, somebody actually picked the exact one I did. If he was protesting the anthem, he'd be Buddy Hield. We've done them all.
Like, whatever one you're thinking of, they go, they haven't done this one yet. We have. I think people think that when we say, hey, we've spent a lot of time doing this, we spent like a minute or two coming up with these. No, I bet there have been 4.5 man hours that have gone into coming up with these stupid things.
Did any of us come up with, if he was married to Justin Timberlake, he'd be Buddy Hield?
No, I said Bradley
Beal. So we did cover the Beal. We'll take a break. When we come back, what's on tap? Stop texting. Right here on Sports 1140 KHTK.
It's that time. Text the word GOAL to 441140 and enter the Home Theater Company code word of the day for your chance to win a Samsung Blu-ray player. And 2 lucky winners will get brand new televisions. Listen and win all week, courtesy of Home Theater Company. Get more information at KHTK.com.
Downtown Ford's huge 2017 model elimination sale is on, and we must get rid of every 2017 Ford by the end of the month. That means huge dealer discounts on the most popular Ford models like Explorer, F-150, Fiesta, Focus, and Fusion. All brand new vehicles at extreme elimination prices. If you want a brand new Ford on a pre-owned budget, this is the sale for you. Get all of the hot new safety features standard, like front pass sensing system and advanced track electronic stability control. And don't forget about all of the cool technology like sync communication and entertainment system, backup camera, and more. But hurry, there are only a few 2017 vehicles left during Downtown Ford's 2017 model elimination sale. And when they're gone, they're gone. Come see us today at 525 North 16th or online anytime at downtownfordsales.com. Downtown Ford, crummy location, great deals. With approved credit, not all buyers will qualify. Not available with special finance, lease, or other offers. See dealer for details.
At Universal Men's Clinic, we focus on helping men suffering from low testosterone or ED. If you often feel low energy, have a decrease in your libido, or difficulty in the bedroom, you may have a treatable medical condition. These symptoms occur in many men over the age of 30. The medical staff at Universal Men's Clinic will evaluate your diagnosis and blood test to determine what medical treatments are available for you.
I'm Dr. Charles Arakaki of the Universal Men's Clinic, where we specialize in treating erectile dysfunction and low testosterone. With modern medicine and the latest technology, our patients experience a high level of care.
Come in for an office visit. For those with a treatable condition, the medical staff will create a customized treatment plan, including monitoring your progress in a professional and confidential atmosphere. Call Universal Men's Clinic at 916-277-8599. That's 916-277-8599. Or visit universalmensclinic.com.
Toyota Tacoma and 4Runner are the most respected trucks on the road or off it. And now you can save big with amazing deals. Get to your Toyota dealer for $1,000 cash back on Tacoma and 4Runner. Get yours, and the fun won't have to end just because the road does. Wouldn't it be nice to hit the trail in your new Toyota? Cashback is available through TMNA and must be applied to transaction. Excludes TRD Pro. Offers end 10/1/18. Wouldn't it be nice? Toyota. Let's go places.
Steven.
Who said that?
Me, down here.
Ugh, what are you, a yellow booger?
I'm a banana slug, Steven.
What are you doing in my room?
I'm your sense of adventure. It's been a long time since we've had an adventure in the forest.
Mom took me to the forest last year.
I'm a slug, Steven. It took me a long time to get here.
You're right. I should get out.
Yeah, the forest is not that far away.
Hey, Mom!
Come to the forest where the more adventurous you lives. Check out discovertheforest.org for cool places nearby. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
In a world where moms and dads are busy, kids run rampant, and fitness goals fall flat, a hero rises. There is California Family Fitness, a building made of mostly ordinary materials. But what's inside is far from ordinary. Inside is a gym for families. Parents, kids, seniors, everyone. This is California Family Fitness, where fit means fun. And from now till Sunday, September 30th, you can join for $1 and get 1 month free. For details, call 877-JOIN-CALFIT or visit CaliforniaFamilyFitness.com today.
Ram Power Days have arrived just in time for football and tailgating season. And with Ram 1500, you'll have Hall of Fame power on game day. Now, well-qualified lessees of competitive vehicles get a low-mileage lease on the 2019 Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cab 4x2 for $249 a month for 36 months with $3,999 due at signing. Tax, title, license extra. Call 1-877-RAM-5722 for details. Requires dealer contribution at least the U.S. Bank. 25% charge for each mile over 30,000. Residency restrictions apply. Take delivery by 10/1.
America's Greatest Game Show, hosted by Eric Estrada, is coming to Cache Creek on October 7th. Win tickets every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 4 and 10 p.m. America's Greatest Game Show, only at Cache Creek Casino Resort. Visit CacheCreek.com for more information.
It's the end of the show, but it's the start of your workday. For a cold one, it's What's on Tap. Here's What's on Tap.
How about here's what's not on tap? Your texts.
There's some really good ones.
No, there's not.
If he was Eddie Murphy, he would be the Buddy Professor.
We're rhyming with Buddy Hield's name in case you just joined us, and that does not make Phil on Twitter happy. By the way, we do like to share tweets, everybody. From @SacktownPhil42, loyal listener. Love Phil. This segment is nails down a chalkboard bad. Ugh.
I enjoyed that tweet so much that is the segment recap. I quoted Phil. And also today's show title.
It's just so bad. I don't know if we did get Buddy Hield college, though.
That's really good. We did. Jason Ross said if he got traded from the Pelicans to the Kings, he'd be Buddy Hield.
I think that's only funny to us, dude. I really do. Yeah. If he was a candy bar with a crunchy nougat center, he would be Nutty Hield. I mean, we've done Nutty Hield. Somebody's mad that we're making fun of Kawhi Leonard's laugh. You understand that it's mean, except we make fun of ourselves more than anything.
Right.
We're making fun in a fun way. We're not saying Kawhi Leonard's a bad person.
And I think it's a deep-seated thing that Kawhi Leonard is better at literally everything. Than both of us.
Yes.
So
there are so many things in this world to be upset or offended by. Don't pick the small stuff. It's fun. It's not personal. Calm down. And then, by the way, we then back it up by saying, this is why Kawhi Leonard doesn't talk to anybody. Hey, dummies like us do this.
So remember that whole thing I was saying about The Godfather, about how LeBron is like the Godfather because the third team is the worst one, and da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah, don't bother with the third one.
Somebody on the text line is like, who doesn't listen to the show regularly, I guess, is like, hey, guys, I've never seen Godfather. You should see the least of movies I haven't seen.
Yeah.
That guy also responds, it's 2 movies. Don't bother with 3.
It's true. He's right. 3 was like, that just didn't happen. 3 was kind of like Jerry Rice on the Broncos.
Kind of like Seahawks. Rocky 5.
Yeah, it just didn't.
Which is my next Rocky.
It was like the New Adventures of He-Man. We just kind of forget about it. All right? If it's not the Filmation 80s one, you've never seen an episode of He-Man, have you?
No.
By the power of Grayskull?
I've seen all the episodes of The Fairly Odd Parents. So
they should bring He-Man back. You know what America needs? He-Man.
You know what America needs is some Sac Republic FC tickets. And I'm going to go caller number 3. Caller number 3 this time. You want a pair of tickets to see Sacramento Public FC take on Portland this Saturday and Swope Park Rangers next Wednesday.
Giants take on the Padres.
Both those games at Papa Murphy's Park.
That Portland game, biggest game of the year.
Biggest game of the year.
Biggest game of the year. Could decide home playoff spot. A match at the PMP, Papa Murphy's Park.
At the pump.
By the way, I tried to get away. I tried to start the thing where like we called it the pimp, and nobody that didn't fly. Giants, Padres. Who cares? Although Madison Bumgarner did walk him off last night, which was great. His first walk-off hit ever, and he got mobbed. And did you see when they tried to throw Gatorade on him?
No.
He straight turned around and pushed the bucket away. They were chasing him and coming up from behind him with the big jug of Gatorade. This dude turns around and pushes the Gatorade bucket away. Like, bro, do you know who I am? I will chop your face off. I'm Madison Bumgarner. Do not hit me with Gatorade. And then Hunter Pence, I think it was Hunter Pence, jumped into his arms.
He is an ex-Diamondbacks manager. He'd be Madison Phil Garner.
Can we get some more of those jingles playing from the other room, please? Can we do that? That'd be great. So we get some loud jingles bleeding through. Athletics, Mariners, Edwin Jackson, King Felix Hernandez tonight. Kyle, does it matter? Or are you done till the playoffs?
I'm not done, but they have to win out, and they need the Yankees to collapse pretty hard to get that first wild card spot.
James Harrison spoke on Le'Veon Bell, which, by the way, if you have any questions about Le'Veon Bell or Ryan Fitzpatrick, tweet them at Kyle A. Madson, Madson. If Madison Bumgarner was Felix Unger's roommate, he would be Oscar Madison Bumgarner. No, just stop. And to the many of you sending me the link to the Netflix documentary on He-Man, I watched it the day before. Thank you. I just watched it the day before yesterday. If you are a He-Man fan, on Netflix, they have a phenomenal documentary. I didn't know half that stuff. Like, Mattel turned down Star Wars for the opportunity to make them action figures because they just thought it wasn't going to work out. So Kenner got it. Is Kenner even still around? James Harrison offered Le'Veon Bell some advice. He said, if I'm Le'Veon, I'm coming back November 13th, which is the deadline he's got to report to the Steelers. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to get my credit for the season that I need to get, and I'm going to do the best I can to get out of the season healthy. For me, I'm giving you everything at practice. But come Saturday, something ain't right. I can't play on Sunday because if I go out here and I mess something up, I'm losing a lot of money. So, wow. James Harrison saying basically report back Le'Veon Bell and then pull up with a fake injury on Saturday. I'm really trying to avoid the text line right now. Let's go back. Let's go back to sound from media camps around the country. Carmelo Anthony wants to win a championship, so strike that down on your bingo card.
To win a championship. That's it. I mean, at this point, that's the only thing that really, really matters. We know what we're here for, right? I don't think nobody is thinking anything differently than trying to win a championship.
Hey, Carmelo, what about potentially coming off the bench? Because that question worked so well last year.
I haven't had that conversation yet, with anybody. But like I said, everything that I've been talking to people and talked about too, like I'm very clear on what my role is.
That's better than he did last year when he just laughed. When Carmelo was asked, would you consider coming off the bench for the Thunder? And he said something like, next question. We talked about how the Kings are in the mix in the Jimmy Butler trade, not for Jimmy Butler, but as perhaps a facilitator in which they could pick up, amongst other things, draft picks in exchange for taking on salary. Here's Tom Thibodeau on the Butler rumors.
This isn't the first time we've had requests for players to be traded. So anytime that happens, you look at what's available and if it makes sense for the team. And if it makes sense for the team, we'll do it. But Jimmy needs about a week, and we're going to give that to him.
Will you make a bad deal for him, though?
We're not going to make a bad deal. If it's
okay. If he was in charge of making all kinds of sweet treats and snacks for kids to take in their lunch boxes, he'd be Dolly Madison Bumgarner. Or if he was the, first lady to a former U.S. president. If he was a super rich guy on Wall Street,
we gotta go.
He'd be Madison's successful gardener.
Let's go.
For Scott Bair. For Kyle Madson, I'm Carmichael Dave. Eunice does a tremendous job, as always, behind the scenes. Jim Rome is next. We'll see you tomorrow right here on Sports 1140 KHTK. Bye-bye now.